Welcome to another UND AeroCast episode. Today we will be discussing checklist procedures and how these procedures relate to SRM, or Single Pilot Resource Management, and CRM, or Crew Resource Management. Single Pilot Resource Management refers to the effective use of all available resources, for instance, human resources, such as weather briefers, dispatchers, and other pilots, and even hardware, such as the aircraft avionics and navigational aids, and any other information the pilot deems necessary to ensure the safety of that flight. Crew Resource Management is similar to SRM, except the pilot in command has an additional crew member to assist with cockpit procedures and decision-making. Proper checklist procedures help to ensure every flight is a safe and efficient one. They keep the pilot focused on the task at hand while ensuring the aircraft is configured correctly for each phase of flight. In an effort to better prepare our students for the next phase of their flying careers, UND uses standardized checklist procedures similar to those used by airlines throughout the world. Now, the objective of this UND AeroCast episode is to develop the pilot's knowledge, ability, professionalism, confidence, and competence when performing aircraft procedures in accordance with the appropriate checklist. The pilot will also develop a high level of safety awareness while executing these procedures. During the first few hours of training in a new course, or when transitioning to a new aircraft, flight crews at UND will utilize Chapter 1, Amplified Checklist Procedures, as published in the appropriate aircraft standardization manual in lieu of and as a supplement to the abbreviated checklist. Referring to the details contained in the expanded checklist procedures during the beginning stage of training ensures a thorough knowledge regarding what to specifically look for while using the abbreviated checklist during following lessons. In Chapter 1 of UND's Cessna 172 Standardization Manual, the expanded checklist procedures explain two different approaches to completing a checklist. These are known as do lists and flow patterns. When completing a do list, the pilot completes the checklist step by step in order while reading directly from the checklist. Pre-flight, engine start, run-up, shutdown, and post-flight checklists are all do lists. A flow pattern, on the other hand, is a two-step process. The pilot first configures the cockpit by completing a memorized sequence through the cockpit controls. Upon completing the flow, the pilot then verifies these checklist items by referencing the appropriate checklist.
Set. Engine instruments are all good. Fuel selectors on both and approach briefings complete.
Let's take a look at the various checklist procedures used during a typical training flight to the practice area in UND's Cessna 172. On our first flight, the student will perform checklist procedures using SRM, or Single Pilot Resource Management. During single pilot operations, the pilot, generally the student, assumes the roles of both the pilot flying and pilot monitoring. He or she is solely responsible for the completion and verification of each do list and flow pattern. The vast majority of your training at UND requires the demonstration and development of your single pilot resource management skills. This includes proper cockpit management and correct checklist procedures. Let's watch our students as they demonstrate correct SRM procedures from pre-flight to post-flight. The pre-flight inspection for all UND aircraft is a do list. There are two parts to every pre-flight inspection: the interior pre-flight and the exterior pre-flight. With the extensive list of items which need to be checked during pre-flight, the standardization manual requires the pilot to reference every item on the checklist in sequential order. Failure to do so may result in a situation which may compromise the safety of flight. The pilot must also ensure the following documents are on board their flight: airworthiness and federal registration, state registration, if required, FCC license, if required, aircraft-specific POH with current weight and balance information, minimum equipment list specific to the aircraft's tail number, and any supplemental documents such as GPS manuals. To assist in the safe and efficient completion of your flight, Proper cockpit management skills must be employed in conjunction with proper checklist procedures. Upon completion of the interior and exterior pre-flight procedures, take a few moments to organize your cockpit. Cockpit organization can include the following: ensuring any loose items in the cabin or the cockpit are secured. Chocks are secured by tie-down straps in the baggage compartment. The tow bar is installed and properly stowed. Charts, flight computers, or any other items required for your flight are properly stowed but easily accessible when required for use. In addition, do not place any items on the glare shield. This allows for maximum forward visibility for both pilot and flight instructor, and also prevents permanently damaging the windscreen. Now it's time to go flying. The before start checklist is a flow pattern and therefore must be committed to memory. According to FAR 91.3, the pilot in command of an aircraft is directly responsible for and is the final authority as to the operation of that aircraft. The pilot in command is required to operate the aircraft in a safe manner and ensure the safety of the passengers. Passengers, therefore, must be given a thorough passenger briefing prior to departure. The Cessna 172 Standardization Manual outlines the following items as mandatory for the passenger briefing: use of seat belts and shoulder harnesses, location and operation of emergency exits, location and use of the fire extinguisher, and a reminder that there is no smoking, eating, or drinking on any UND flight.
Before start checklist, passenger briefing. Seat belts and harnesses. Ensure that the buckle goes into the fastener to adjust pull up for security. Ensure that the stitching is to the outside for airbag deployment. Keep fastened throughout all phases of flight. 2 emergency exits are located on this aircraft, one to the left, one to the right. To operate, lift up on the latch, push out on the door. To close, pull in, push down, verify that it is locked. Fire extinguisher is located between the 2 front seats. To operate, unsecure by lifting the 2 latches, remove the pin, and aim at the base of the fire for maximum effectiveness.
The pilot's seat should be positioned to assure full rudder and brake movement. Ensure the seat is securely latched to the seat tracks. The seat back should also be placed in its most upright position. Ensure the seat belts are securely fastened with the stitching facing outwards. This ensures the airbags will deploy outward and provide maximum protection in the unlikely event of an uncontrolled forced landing. Ensure all cabin doors are closed and latched. When closing the doors, do not slam them as it may damage the latching mechanism. The windows may be unlatched and open during taxi for better ventilation.